I don't connect with this anymore like I did when I first saw it.
You're older.
Like, oh God, I know, and it's like, get a job.
Yeah. It's like, stop bitching. Like, obviously, the first time was like, I can't believe like I'm working with Tell 'em Steve Dave. This is fucking a dream for me.
So tell me that. How did that happen? Welcome to Sequel Podcast. I'm Matt Bonta.
I'm Brian Ruppert.
All right. What's going on? What's up, man?
Nothing. It's a little weird. I don't really have much going on right now. Things are kind of slow, even though I'm still really busy. But I'm like, what are we gonna talk about? I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, no, like I didn't really know what we were going to talk about either. I did have one thing that I did want to talk about. But before that, you did an episode on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which we kind of texted back and forth about. And I kind of wanted to chime in on that a little bit
Sure.
after having listened to it. Because, for anyone out there who's listening, if anyone does listen to these, who knows, that no one might.
Yeah.
Brian does a podcast reviewing history. Go check it out. They watch movies about actual events, and then they discuss it. So I read the book, right? I've got nothing to do at work but listen to shit all day long. So I read the book and then watched the movie when I got home. Thankfully, that was the episode you did that week, because it could have been one of the other ones. And I also watched Where the Buffalo Roam as well. So I had a full day of fucking Hunter S. Thompson.
I like Where the Buffalo Roam. I saw it once years ago. I really liked it.
It's fine. Like, if it wasn't Bill Murray, I'd probably never revisit that movie.
Well, he makes everything better.
Absolutely, I can get behind that.
Yeah, so, like, for people that don't know, on my show, I don't think I've come out so hard against a movie on my show. I really fucking hate Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I've never liked the movie. I've seen it 3 times throughout my life now. So, I'm 36. Let's say I saw it for the first time at 18. So I've seen it 3 times in 18 years. And I have never enjoyed it. So I like Where the Buffalo Roam, and Rum Diaries. I thought was all right. It's not memorable, but for watching a movie, it was fine. But Fear and Loathing inspires a deep, passionate hatred in me. So
I get that too, because like I listened to the book, and I don't remember how much of this we texted about, but I listened to the book on Audible while I was working. And immediately, I knew, like, having not seen the movie in years, like, oh, this is annoying already. And, like, I was like, you know what? I don't think that's a good movie. But it's a movie that people laud for being, I don't know, good. I don't know what they laud.
They're fucking junkies. They're junkies if they like it.
I loved
every time
on my
show, and it led to a fight with a co-host.
I love when every time you said fucking junk. It's so funny. It's so funny.
But there I think there's people that think, I honestly believe the only people that like the movie are people that shoot up. Of course, that's a ridiculous statement. It's a joke. However, if you do drugs, you probably are more likely to enjoy the movie than someone like me that utterly fucking despises drugs and alcohol. So.
Absolutely. Well, because like you get those people that do that, right? Like they love to get high and watch movies, and if it's a movie about like getting high, they like it that much more. Not unlike Kevin Smith's movies. With the Jay and Silent Bob character, the Tenacious D movie, things like that. Cheech and Chong.
Half Baked.
Yes, Half Baked. Like, they love that movie as if it's like, I don't know, they're hanging out with those people and getting high with them or something.
Like, they'll drop acid and watch the movie, where it's like, it's fine, I don't care if that's what you want to do, but, it's like, it's also like there's different styles of movies, right? Like and things people want to see in a movie. Like I like and it took me a while to realize this. I don't like meandering things where there's no bigger goal. I like characters are A and they have to get to B. You
Right.
know? And like, there's a hero's journey or something like that. And this movie is kind of the same thing over and over again. They do drugs, some crazy shit happens and repeat. And like it's not like they're on the run from the cops or anything. There's no drama. There's no stakes really. It's like
There's
it's
nothing.
just
There's
watching
nothing
two
in this
fucking
fucking
jerk offs
movie.
get high.
Ah, yeah. And I think that could be done well, which isn't to say that Terry Gilliam isn't like a filmmaker that doesn't do things well, which he does. But like watching it, and I was thinking about, okay, like Wolf of Wall Street. Do you like Wolf of Wall Street?
I love Wolf of Wall Street.
Right. And so like I'm watching this scene in Fear and Loathing where they're like trying to walk into the casino, and it reminded me of the scene where they're doing the Quaaludes in Wolf of Wall Street, which is like a really funny and fucked up scene, done so much better, right? Like the whole movie is done so much because all they're doing is like doing coke and drugs and being fucked up people. Maybe Wolf of Wall Street isn't really about anything beyond like, oh, we're watching this guy's life, right? I guess it's watching his rise and fall, right? We're watching his rise and fall.
It's a crime movie, it's white collar Goodfellas. That's what it is.
Yes,
And
yes.
and everyone loves fucking Goodfellas. It's almost the same movie.
And Fear and Loathing is about nothing, and not in the same way that Seinfeld's about nothing, which is amazing, as I know you you feel the same way. But yeah, I started reading the book and was like, oh man, this is going to be a hard listen for the next like 6 hours. And I was thinking that maybe the idea behind making Fear and Loathing was that the book like blew up when it came out. But I feel it blew up when it came out because it was, I don't know, a contrasting reflection on the times of like coming out of the 60s and with the Vietnam War. And it might have hit people that were ready for something like that. Meanwhile, fast forward like, 20, almost 30 years, like who cares, right? Who gives a shit anymore? So they're making a movie about like maybe trying to make the same impact that the movie or that the book did. I mean, and people like it, I guess. I don't know how well the movie did when it came out.
It failed to get its budget back. I believe the movie cost 15 million, and its lifetime gross was like 13.
Right.
So
Exactly. It's like you can't lightning can't necessarily strike twice. And I feel that's kind of what it is. But and also for me, like Fear and Loathing, there was this dude in high school that I was friends with, and he would find something and he would ruin it by how much he enjoyed it. That sounds like fucking like a shitty thing to say, but like he
I
would
get it.
find these things, but his over enthusiasm towards them, and that was one of the things, would like he would not let it go to the point to where you're tired of fucking hearing about it and you hate that thing then at that point. And Fear and Loathing was one of those things. And like Fight Club almost ruined Fight Club to where the friend group was like, okay, we like this thing, don't tell him about it because he will go crazy for it and ruin it for us. I think that's all I wanted to say about Fear and Loathing. And I did tell you like maybe like like Hunter S. Thompson's fucked up mind just like might have just made up a bunch of that shit anyways.
Yeah, look, it's his book. As far as we know, everything in there is real. Because how do you verify? Like, I could write a story about, I could go drop a bunch of acid right now, and then write a book about what happened to me in my house. Who the fuck is going to tell me it didn't happen? I could make up
Exactly.
the whole thing.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
as far as we know, we have to treat it like it's real. I mean, it had an impact. People love that thing. We got like this is actually kind of the thing that we've gotten the most like negative comments about from like random people where they'll chime in and they'll be like, "You don't fucking get it, man," and I'll be like, "Explain how I don't get it," and they won't answer. It's like it's like we don't like this, so you can't understand it. And then when you tell them, it's like you're mad about an opinion. You're not. Nothing I'm saying is incorrect. You don't like what I'm saying, and they don't respond to it.
I think, and and this is bringing up more thoughts. Is like I think that might be a movie that's better served not watching ever again, and just remembering it fondly. If that was the case to begin with, but to really do a deep dive analytical discussion like you guys did could like make it worse or shatter the glass on your feelings for the movie. And sometimes that happens. Like the older you get, like you go back and revisit things. It's like, oh, this wasn't as good or wasn't as funny or cool.
So I'll tell you a story. Me and my co-host Anthony, we were having a discussion with one of our friends about the movie Euro Trip, and me and Anthony are defending it like it's fucking Citizen Kane. That it's like it's great. This movie is so funny. It's awesome. Blah blah blah. The next day, me and him hang out and we're watching it. And the movie came out in 2004. So let's say this is 2011. We're
Mhm.
7 years older than we were,
Right.
and we're watching it on the couch together. And we're just watching the movie. And his father walks in, and his father like looks at us watching the movie, and we both felt like so embarrassed, like we're watching this piece of shit, and we were like, "Oh, this isn't a good movie. We were wrong." But the funny thing is, like a year ago, I was flipping through the channels, and Eurotrip was on, and I ended up watching it, and I was like, "I fucking like this. I don't care."
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
it depends where you are at the day, what time, and like it's art. It's never gonna hit you the same way twice.
Right. And the mood and the company and everything else like that. Like I can watch stuff with my wife, and if she's not into it, even if I like it, I'm not gonna be into it. Right. I vibe with the
Yeah.
room. And like I've watched Clerks recently and I feel like, oh, I don't connect with this anymore like I did when I first saw it.
You're older.
Like, oh God, I know, and it's like, get a job.
Yeah. It's like stop bitching.
It's sad. It really is sad. But I'm sure I could watch it again and be like, oh no, this is fine.
Well, you just said something that I've been mulling this over for a bit, and I'm gonna tell you a little theory I have right now. And everyone you'll hear them say, comedy is a dead genre, right? Comedy is a dead genre in film,
But
and
go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
you'll hear that again and again and again. But the movies that are kind of comedies now are like the Marvel movies, right? Like Guardians is practically a comedy, all that stuff. And I think the room that you watch comedy in plays a big part. And when people stopped going to the theaters as much, especially for things like comedies, they're watching them alone in their house. Maybe they have someone with them, but they're mostly alone, and they have the movie on and they're watching it, right? And there's no laugh track, it's just them and the joke. It's not going to hit the same way because laughter's contagious. When you're in a packed theater watching a comedy and a joke hits, it's not just you, it's, 60 other people
Right.
and they're laughing.
Right.
You're going to end up laughing more often than not. It's very rare where you will be in a movie theater, and this happened to me one time, and everybody in the theater is cracking up laughing except you, and you're the only person. And I think that has led to, there's other factors, of course, but I think that's a big factor why people say comedy is a dead genre now.
I think people might just be too afraid, and afraid might be the too strong of a word, to try to make something and hope that it's funny, like why bother risking it not being funny and just do something else and maybe throw some funny stuff in there. If they laugh, they laugh. That's fine, but that's not the point of the whole movie, right? Like an action superhero movie, like all the Marvel movies, where Robert Downey Jr. is super funny with all of his quips and his sarcasm throughout, and you can enjoy comedy in micro doses, in a bigger thing rather than just straight comedy and it just like falling flat and people saying, "Oh, well, that wasn't funny." Well, maybe it just wasn't funny to you, like you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, the two most subjective genres are horror and comedy.
Right.
You know?
And I mean, if you don't bring the blood, which I am familiar with not bringing enough blood and gore to my movies. And that's how I feel about my movies too, though, is like, I don't think that I can write a comedy, and I've told people that, but like, I put funny things into my movies. At least I think they're funny. If you're not laughing, that's fine. Fuck you. I think it's funny every time I watch it, and I'll laugh my ass off the entire fucking movie because I think it's funny. Or other thing, and you know what? I tell people this too. Like at the premiere of Midnight Bloodshed, I let them know, like, hey, it's okay to laugh if you think something's funny. Just because this is like a horror movie, and serious subject matter, air quotes, right? Doesn't mean that I didn't write like people doing funny things or saying funny things, before or after horrific things. Like, if you're enjoying yourself and you think it's funny, by all means, laugh.
Yeah, I think, especially horror, like, you want a little of that B-movie comedy. You don't want everything to be dead serious. It's less fun, especially
Right.
with slashers,
Well, and dramas too. Like, I will laugh at movies that are dramas, right? These movies that come out, it's not like everything is, Schindler's List, like super serious subject matter, but like Holdovers. Did you see Holdovers?
I did. I liked Holdovers.
Like, that's serious subject matter. It's a drama, but like, it's funny. They do funny things. They say funny things. It's okay to laugh at a drama. I mean, but Alexander Payne, all of his movies are like that anyways. Like, Sideways is fucking hilarious.
I love Nebraska. I think that's his best movie.
I saw it in theaters, haven't seen it since. I remember liking it. I don't remember it too much. But I like all of his stuff, right? About Schmidt, election, it's all good.
Yeah, I think the only thing I haven't seen is Downsizing.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that either. I have not seen that
Yeah.
either.
I think he would prefer that. That people don't see it at this point.
I think they talked about that on Fun Bearable. I think that's where I heard them talking about it.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I think they may have. You're right.
but I love Sideways, and it's not like super serious subject matter, but it's a drama about adults kind of like doing adult shit. But it's funny, right? Those characters are goofy. It's
That's
kind of
one
like,
that I would like to revisit because I saw that, and I think that was a 2004 movie. So I definitely saw it a lot in 2004 because we had a hot box. So like I would watch it on pay-per-view again and again and again.
mhm.
But I haven't seen it since, and I'm 19 years older. So if I liked it when I was a teenager, I imagine I'll like it a lot more now that I'm older.
As we all move towards middle age and towards
Yeah.
those guys' actual age in that movie. I think it holds up for sure, and it's still funny. But like, yeah, all those dramas, I laugh at shit, right? Like, oh, there's Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage or whatever, or whoever. So I'm a firm believer in laughing at something if you think it's funny, and I think I get that from my mom, right? Because I like being a teenager and watching a movie and then like seeing her watch it and laugh at shit, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess that is funny. So I keep it up. So I will laugh at things randomly, and my wife is like, "What are you laughing at?" I don't
I
know.
do the
It's
same
funny.
thing. Yeah, I do the same thing. Like some things, I'll just find it funny in a movie and no one else does. Did you see Godzilla -1?
I did. I loved it.
Okay, I loved it too. But there was one moment at the end where they reveal something after the big climactic showdown. I don't want to spoil it. They reveal something in a
Oh,
hospital.
okay, yeah.
And when they reveal it, I started laughing out loud because I was like, "This is fucking ridiculous! Come on, you
Like,
know."
did you see it coming? Or are you talking when he actually gets there to the
When he
hospital?
gets there and it's revealed fully,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Come on, that's so stupid! Like, fuck
No, it's
off!"
good. No, it's
I
good. No,
hated that. No,
no. I loved it. I loved it. Right. You didn't see that coming earlier though, or did you?
I didn't think so because the movie has such a serious, somber tone from start to like 99% of the way. And it's like, that's so out of tone with everything in the movie, you know?
I don't know. I feel like he needed a win, and
But he did. He just won. He
I,
saved his country.
I think, well, what he was willing to do was, like, there was two wins, right? I think the win that he got is what they went with in the movie. The other win would be because he was too afraid to like dive bomb and kill himself for his country. So the other win he would have been able to do would be to fulfill what he couldn't fulfill, years prior.
Yeah.
But
By
I'm
the way, were you
absolutely
thinking of
all
Curb
in.
Your Enthusiasm the whole time?
What's that?
Were you thinking of Curb Your Enthusiasm the whole time?
No, I didn't think about it once. Not at all.
There's an episode of Curb where Larry is like in an old folks home, like with his father, and there's a Japanese guy there who was a kamikaze pilot who didn't like dive bomb to his death, and he's treated kind of the same way the guy in the Godzilla movie is. Like, he has shame and all this,
Oh,
and
they're
it's
shitting
funny.
on him. I
Yeah.
only saw that has to have been like one of the last few seasons. Because I only got to about I think I stopped at the Seinfeld reunion season.
Okay, it's either the one like before or after. It's right around there.
Okay, yeah, because like it kept going and like I didn't keep up. And that was back in the days before like Max, where I can catch up now if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Um,
But anyway, yeah, so you were talking about he needed a win.
he needed a win. And I felt he got it right, and I saw it coming when they brought the letter to the neighbor lady. I'm like, I bet you that's what I think it is. Because it just felt like they shit on him the entire time, and he needed a win, and so I was happy for him to get that win, despite what you think.
Yeah, it did not gel with me at all, but that's a thing where it's subjective, It's like to me I'm like this is fucking ridiculous and stupid. Nearly ruins the movie and I'm laughing at it now. And you're like this is great. I was talking to someone else and they told me it made them cry.
Yeah, no,
So,
I was crying. Like if a movie's gonna make me cry, then it did its job, right? And I like to get emotionally invested in what they're trying to sell to me. So like I will give every movie a fair shot, and if it does what it's trying to do, then I will like it. It doesn't have to be the greatest movie ever made, but like if it gets me emotionally gripped into it, and like if I feel like I'll always cry at a movie where an underdog gets the upper hand and wins. So any movie like that, I'll be balling at the end, which is fine. That's good.
no, I'm an easy mark. It's easy to get me to cry at a movie too. I think that's a lot of like people that love film, which we clearly do. But it's just to me, it was the one false note. That's it.
Sure, sure. What else have you watched recently?
What have I watched recently? I haven't been to the theater in a decent amount of time.
It's been a
Because
slow few weeks. Not a lot has come
I mean,
out.
I was gonna go last weekend, but I got sick. I was gonna go with Chuck Staten. We were gonna go see Iron Claw and the Beekeeper. So we may do that this weekend instead.
I
But
saw
I'm
Iron
trying to
Claw.
think. You saw Iron Claw? How was it?
Mhm. It was good. It was good. I cried.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that one. And Beekeeper, I'm really excited about. I heard there's a lot of bee puns. When he kills the big bad, what I want him to say is "buzz off." That's what I want him to quip.
I've never even seen a trailer for that. That kind of came out under my radar. Is
I've
that
heard it's
just a
pretty
Jason
good,
Statham
but
action?
yeah, it's a Jason Statham action movie. It's one of these like modern wants to be John Wick style things, and
Oh, does
you,
someone
you
kill his
kind of
bees and he goes out for revenge?
it's like he's an ex-military guy now, and he's a beekeeper, and I think they like fuck with his neighbor, and it leads him on this fucking wild path to kill everything.
Oh man, that sounds terrible. That sounds bad.
It's getting good reviews, like people like it. It's one of those, it knows what it is.
Right. So
I'm
I'm
just
sure it's
checking my
fine.
letterbox. I'm
That's
seeing what I've seen recently.
well, you saw Poor Things, right?
Oh, Poor Things I saw. Yeah, I loved Poor Things. I think that's the last movie I saw in theaters.
Yeah, I saw Godzilla minus one last. I think I saw Poor Things before that, and probably Iron Claw before that. Like I said, it's been a slow year. Like I didn't want to see Wonka at all.
I'll see it on HBO Max. I don't care enough.
To me, that movie looked like an AI movie. Like someone typed in some shit into a computer, and that's what they turned out. Like
I
it
don't necessarily disagree.
looks
Did you
like
watch Saltburn?
yeah, I did. I did watch that. As I watched that on Prime. It was on Prime,
Yeah,
so I watched
what'd
it.
you think?
I thought it was going to be more. I thought the adult content was going to be like I thought they were going to go further than they actually did. Like I didn't think like because people talk to me about it and they're like, "Oh man, did you see it?" And I was like, "No, but I'll watch it since you're mentioning it." But I thought it was going to be worse than it ended up being. It was tamer than I thought it was going to be. That's more.
It's it's a normie's idea of an extreme movie. And for
Okay.
guys like for guys like me and you who like real cinema and like real movies, it's like and we've seen extreme shit like you've seen Salo.
Yes, I've seen
So it's like
Salo.
we've seen shit like that, and it's like I don't want to sound too pompous here, but it's like these are people who don't usually see fucked up things in movies where it's
Right.
like I'll go out of my way to find fucked up things in movies.
You
So
know,
it's like
and that's
when
why I
you're
told
like
my
this is
friend
so
was like, I've seen worse than this.
yeah, it's like oh he's drinking bathwater that does cum in it. Oh, it's like watch Gozu. Watch fucking Gozu and watch a man crawl from another man's fucking asshole holding a ladle. Like go see some real fucked up shit.
I mean, look, like, right? He's like, it's as gross as it is, him like drinking the bathwater because the dude like jerked off into it. Um, I mean, in Jackass 2, Chris Pontius drinks the horse cum for real. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
come
true.
on. Did you ever see like Pink Flamingos?
No, I actually never saw that.
Okay, that's the one by which like, oh, let's show him pink flamingos. Let's show him pink flamingos, and people do get kind of grossed out by that one. Criterion finally put it out on one of its editions.
Yeah, I saw they have a release for it.
I'm a big John Waters fan, so like oh yeah, no, I love Olivier's Hamlet, but at the same time I also love John Waters' Pink Flamingos. You know,
Yeah.
like my bars are right next to each other, so like if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. I will not prejudice one movie over the other and not be snobby about it.
Yeah, I can't say I like have seen a John Waters movie. I respect him, just as a filmmaker and a guy who's like been around so long doing like independent shit. He's a guy I really respect, but I've never really had an interest or wanted to watch his work. It's one of those things. I'm like, yeah, eventually I'll see it.
Well, for me, we'll do this next time. We'll do this next time because I'd have to find it. But for me, like around when I graduated, like '03. Entertainment Weekly put out like one of their issues. They had a list of like top 50 cult classic films of all time. So like it was my goal to watch everything in there, and Pink Flamingos was on that list. And then like from there, I'll just watch everything that he put out. So we can go through that list on like the next one we do.
That'd be fun, yeah. I'd be down to see what I've seen, you know?
Yeah, we can go down that list 50 to 1. I might have seen most of them by now. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I remember like that issue is tattered and torn because I was going through it and trying to watch. And of course, it's been 20 years since that came out, so like that's a shit ton of movies since it covered. But I like how you described Saltburn as being the how did you put it? The regular man's
The normie's idea of an extreme movie.
Yes, and like you said, we both seen Sallow, Caligula, which
I've actually never seen Caligula.
Oh my god, I'm disappointed in you. You should do that for one of the episodes.
Let's put it this way: there's certain scenes I've seen in the movie, but I haven't seen the whole movie.
Well, I remember reading an article about there was something Malcolm McDowell wouldn't do, but then like in the same movie, he's also like buttering up his arm and like shoving it up a dude's ass, and it's like, well, one thing he wouldn't do, I forget what it was, but like that, he's perfectly okay with that. Like,
everyone has a line.
They recently recut that movie, and he watched it, and he said that's the movie that he remembered making all those years ago.
So from what I heard is that the actors were told that there was going to be no like none of the actual raw sex, and after the actors would leave the set, they would bring in like people to fuck and like get all the sex shit,
right.
And they filmed all that, so when they were watching the movie, all of this other stuff is there, and they're like, what? And it pissed all of them off. Like that's my understanding of what happened. So they recut it, and they took out all the hardcore shit.
And I'm curious to see how that looks. I don't think it's something that's ever going to see the light of day. I think it's just somebody did it. But we live in a world now where they don't really make DVDs or Blu-rays anymore. They still do for newer stuff, but like older stuff, they'll probably just put it on streaming, and I don't see that being one of those situations. Like it seemed like an independent cut.
Yeah. I'm hoping that more and more like old stuff people start buying it up because, I just know that eventually they're just going to start erasing things, Well,
I mean,
for various reasons.
Warner Brothers is already like, that the new president came in and started like getting rid of some of their streaming movies and just giving them to other streaming services, or just going straight to like a video on demand instead of just being available.
Yeah, I think it's this is kind of the streaming era. Like I think was just a big mistake for all these studios and stuff, and I think they fucked with a good thing when they all went like that. But I'm hoping that they could recover, and I would love to see DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff come back because I'm a proponent of physical media.
Well, I mean, Best Buy just said they're not going to anymore. Best Buy's done.
Yeah, they quit.
Those fucking pieces of shit, dude. I used to work for Best Buy. I fucking hate Best Buy so much.
I used to love just going to a Best Buy and just walking up and down the movie aisle, I used to do that all the time.
Absolutely.
Like get steelbooks, but...
Well, Best Buy is like one of the last places that will do steelbooks, but now they're not, so...
They're not, yeah. I think you'll start seeing more boutique labels, though. That's really what I think. You'll get more like almost Vinegar Syndrome shit for different things. That's what I think you'll start to see. And it'll be like collector's things for fans.
Like Shout Factory, I love what Shout Factory does, and their Scream Factory, label for all the horror and weird shit that they do. Arrow Video also. Look at this guy
There
yawning
another
over
one.
here.
Yep.
So let's talk about Poor Things then.
All right. Poor Things. What'd you think?
I liked like the first half. Like after Mark Ruffalo like takes her away, I kind of started
Okay.
losing interest.
Yeah, it's definitely less strong after she like leaves like home. But I always enjoyed it. I was never bored, and I mean it's a beautiful looking film. Like the visuals are great, and her performance is great. And like at a certain point, you're like, oh, I see what they're doing.
Yeah, I thought the first half looked visually more creative than the second half. I guess once she kind of grows up and matures and figures the shit out instead of like being like a newborn, how she starts in the movie. Like I love the different angles and like the
It
weird
looks like
shit
a
that he did.
storybook.
Yeah, yeah. Now that you meant kind of like maybe like a pop up book, kind of like a
Exactly.
fairy tale. Uh, but then I didn't notice it as much as the movie went on. Like when she kind of takes off. I mean, it's still like when they're on the boat, especially when they're out on the deck. Like it looks fucking like the sky looks fucking cool and weird and
Yeah.
fucked up. Kind of like they were in like like a snow globe or something, like a glass globe. Uh, like I love the way it looked and the way he made the movie, and I love the whole Frankenstein kind of like
Yes.
aspect because I love that book. I've always loved that book. I've read it a couple times. I've watched all the the movies that they've made. I've even put some of that stuff into some of my works that have not been produced, unfortunately. But and I love like the way Willem Dafoe looks.
He looks so fucked up. It's so cool.
It is, and it's based on a book which I haven't read, so I don't know if like it's how close it is to that. But it felt like Willem Dafoe was to me, and maybe this was the intent, was like he looked like the original Frankenstein's monster, who then took over, his creator, and kind of did the same kind of shit.
Yeah, I did have that thought as well. I was like, is he supposed to be like a more mature Frankenstein who's learned, and now he's doing it himself? And at first, I was like, yeah, I thought they were going to make her a bride of Frankenstein. Like, he was grooming her. I didn't know it was going to go on to this, like, sexual odyssey thing that she goes on.
It definitely was that. Mark Ruffalo is so fucking like weird in that movie.
He's a great scumbag.
Yes, like I don't think I've ever seen him be a scumbag in a movie before. Right? Like,
I think maybe Brothers Bloom a little bit.
well, he's
But,
like a con man in that, right?
yeah, exactly. Him and his brother, they're both con men, but one is like kind of a bigger dick. I can't remember which one it is.
I think it is Ruffalo that's the bigger dick in that.
Yeah,
But other than that, like, he's usually like a good guy, like a nice guy, Mr. Nice Guy. He's Mr. Nice Guy.
yeah, it's usually his role.
Absolutely. Saltburn. What did you think of Saltburn?
What did I think of Saltburn? It wasn't bad. It was okay. I felt like it was pretty obvious. Um, I think like what they want to have be a big twist. When they reveal some things, like, and there's like kind of a montage about it. I like, are you supposed to be like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened? And it's like, yeah, of course. If you've been watching the movie, like, this is the only thing it
Right.
could be. Like,
That montage.
why else would Barry Cohagen's character be doing all this shit? This is the only thing that makes sense, is him like doing this for that reason.
Right. Yeah, the montage felt a little unnecessary, right? Because it wasn't like a big mystery twist. Like we saw him doing the shit that he was doing.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we know like where this is going and why he's doing stuff. But like, I did like the last shot, like where he's like dancing
Dance
around.
around naked.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I get it. That's like triumphant. I will say one of like my favorite moment in the movie it might be underrated, is the girl, the actress. What's her? I think her name is Allison Reed.
I don't know. The plays the sister.
Yeah, yeah, the one who plays the sister. I want to get her name to give her the credit because I thought she was fucking great. Allison Oliver, that's her name. So Allison Oliver is having like she's in a bathtub, and she's yelling at Barry Cohagen's character, and she's like, "You're a fucking moth," you know. And that whole speech from her, I think, is fucking great. And it's like, yup, that's what the movie is. She's correct, and it's like, I think it's like the best acting in the movie, you know. And I think that I know like it's not as sensational as drinking cum water and humping a grave and like doing all those things, but or period blood in the mouth. But to me, I was like, oh, that's the best thing in the movie.
I mean, gosh, period blood in the mouth. Did you see Midsummer?
I did, yes, yes, yes.
And the dude's like, she puts the period blood in his like lemonade or whatever the fuck it was, and he's drinking it.
Yeah.
Those two movies you can put side by side for like a double feature if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, that might not be a bad double feature, actually.
Did you like Midsummer?
I did. I really liked it a lot. I like that's Ari Aster, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah, I did. I'm dying to see Beau is Afraid. I didn't get to see it in theaters.
Yeah,
but
it's
that's
on
one
something right now.
Yeah, it's one I want to settle down and watch. You know,
It's
like his
long.
movies,
It's like
I feel
3 hours long or something like that.
Yeah, but I feel his movies, I have to be in the right headspace. I have to put my phone away. You know, I have to really like lock in and give it the attention it deserves.
Right, right. He did Hereditary, and then
Yes.
Midsummer,
Yep.
and then Beau is Afraid.
Correct.
Okay, there's not something else in there that I'm missing.
No, just those three.
Okay.
And I view him and Robert Eggers as kind of like the two big guns in like that new school of filmmaking almost. I love Robert Eggers. I think
Who's that?
he's like
Who's that?
he did The Witch, The Lighthouse,
Oh,
the fucking Northman. He has Nosferatu coming out next year.
yeah. I didn't like The Witch at all. I thought it was so boring.
I loved it.
I thought Hereditary was boring as well.
I didn't love Hereditary.
Like, I mean, when the little girl sticks her head out the window and gets it lobbed off by the telephone pole, like that caught me off guard.
It's a great moment.
But beyond that, like everything else before and after, like, eh.
It's a slow burn, you know.
It's a super fucking slow burn, dude. Are you kidding? And The Lighthouse, that's kind of like the same kind of like Saltburn kind of like feel to it, where like two dudes doing fucked up shit. I don't know. Like I think the black and white's beautiful in that.
Oh, it's so good.
And I like Willem Dafoe. Obviously, Willem Dafoe is unafraid to do fucking any weird shit like
Antichrist. Yep.
That's funny. That's funny.
But no, I love Lighthouse. Like, it was one of those movies I saw it and I was like, this is fucking amazing. And like, I was chewing on it for like weeks after I saw it. Like, I couldn't get it out of my head. Like
I should watch it again. Like, maybe I just wasn't in the right mood for it when I watched it.
Well, I think it's one of those things, it's like almost Lynchian, where it's like it wants you to come up with an interpretation for the events and what is happening and why. And like, it's two just great performances centering the whole movie. Right. I fucking loved it.
Yeah, I think I should watch that again. I didn't see The Northman. Is that a straightforward like action movie?
It's not an action movie. It's actually kind of loosely based on a true story. I've debated if we could do it on the show, but it's like there's action in it. Um, and it's really badass and cool, like the fights and all that, and like it's period accurate Viking shit.
Right.
Um, and they actually there's an article, you could Google it, from the cinematographer, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, but him and Robert Eggers, they developed a new technique to shoot at night in it to get true blacks with like flame and fire, and the movie just looks fucking gorgeous. I highly recommend giving it a watch.
We were filming Midnight Bloodshed, and it was during the opening campfire scene, and this is something we had to deal with. The wind, the wind knocked over one of our lights and almost like took out one of our actors. And the one dude's like, "Oh, now we're filming the Northman," and I was like, "I don't know what that means." So, like, and the fact that you say that they created something new to try and do night stuff, like, I am all for that. So I absolutely will check that out.
Yeah, definitely. And like the article goes into more detail. I read the article probably almost 2 years ago now, but definitely give it a read. And like they kind of explain the process and what they did, and it's cool. Because that movie, if I remember correctly, the Northman is all natural light.
I'm all for that. My DP hates that because he likes to light everything, and I don't like to light anything at all. But I'm definitely all for natural lighting, and I know it's a pain in the ass to film with. So,
yeah.
Anything you're looking forward to? Anything coming out in the year that's on your
the movie I am
list?
most. All right, let's play a little game. Can you guess the movie I'm most excited for in 2024?
Is it a historical movie?
No.
Not at all.
Fiction.
Let's
I
see.
know this is a big area. It's a big ask.
What genre is it?
I would say action.
Mission Impossible. Is Mission Impossible Part 2 coming out this year?
That is coming out this summer, I believe. I'm very excited for that. But the movie I'm actually most excited for this year is Argyle.
Oh yeah, Argyle. That's coming out like in a couple weeks.
In a couple weeks, yeah. I'm a big Mathew Vaughn fan. I'm a big fan of him as a director, and I like, his style and the way he shoots action and builds his worlds and stuff. And that movie looks kind of like a riff on Bondy and stuff. Right. And I just have a feeling Daniel Craig's going to cameo in it.
I think, for me, Sam Rockwell. Like, I would watch anything Sam Rockwell's in. And I'm still confused about that movie on whether or not Henry Cavill's character is real.
Well, that's the thing. I think he's the book character.
Right, which is perfectly clear, but then they make it at first seem like Sam Rockwell is his counterpart, but then beyond that, they make it also seem like there is a Henry Cavill character in real life as well.
And I think it's going to be Daniel Craig, and I think that's why they're like, once you know the secret, don't reveal it. I think it's going to be Daniel Craig, and they're going to fully pay, we're obviously doing... When you put Henry Cavill in a tuxedo, and you have him shooting silencers and playing a spy, everybody thinks James Bond, right?
Right.
So I think they're going to play with that, and they'll have it be Daniel Craig, because Daniel Craig was actually in Mathew Vaughn's first movie, Layer Cake.
Layer Cake, right. And that was kind of his pre-James Bond, exactly. Obviously this is the guy.
So I think that would almost kind of bring it full circle in a way. And that's why they're keeping it under wraps and they're building that secret.
Now, see, you saying that reminds me of Split. Did you see Split?
I did. I liked Split.
I'm not a fan of M. Night Shyamalan.
But he's hit and miss for me.
Everyone was talking about the ending of that movie, so I'm like, fine. I'll go see this fucking movie. And then they did the Unbreakable, like throwing Bruce Willis into the end of that. And that made the movie for me, right? And then like Glass came out, and I fucking hated Glass.
Glass, he fucked it up so bad. It's like Split almost got him back in the public's good graces. And it's like, all right, we're willing to forgive like a lot of shit you did. And then you give us Glass, where it's just like so lame. Because what made Split so interesting was it's one of the few movies to do this. You're watching Split, right? And you think it's like a standard thriller style movie or whatever.
Yes.
And then, you know, you watch it. And then at the end of the movie gets recontextualized. And now you are like, oh, I watched a villain origin movie.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It's different.
Yes.
It's like, that immediately shifts it into superhero story. And they're setting up sequels, so it's like, yes, I want to watch superhero shit in the next movie. I don't want to watch Bruce Willis die in a fucking puddle.
Well, he sets it up like it's going to be some big blowout battle in the city.
Yeah.
But as I'm watching it, I'm like, this doesn't look like it's going to go there at all. Right? It's like 3 dudes. They're in the hospital. There's nothing to me that says that there's production value going beyond them like kind of just hanging out here the entire movie.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, I didn't need a big city battle. I just needed them to have a really cool one-on-one fight. You know? Like,
yeah.
That's what I wanted to see. And they didn't give it to me.
Speaking of Mathew,
you should never have your protagonist die in a puddle.
I blocked that movie out of my mind. I saw it in theaters. Does he die in that?
Yeah, Bruce Willis's character dies in a puddle.
Yeah, I saw it and didn't like it, so I don't even remember. I see way too many movies that kind of go in one ear and out the other.
That happens to me with a lot of shit.
I'm most excited to see Deadpool 3. Is that lame?
No, I mean, I'm excited for Deadpool 3, too. I mean, you get Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine. You know, he's in the yellow costume. It's like, you know, I think it's going to be fun. I'm excited to give that a watch.
Because I just watched all of the X-Men movies back to back. I just marathoned all those, right? Mathew Vaughn directed First Class. So,
and he did the second one, too, I believe, right?
No, Bryan Singer came back for Days of Future Past.
Oh, okay. So he only did First Class.
He only did First Class, which is kind of weird, because he kind of created all that, the new...
Well, he saved the franchise, you know?
Right. And then, like, for some reason, the movie, like, takes place over, like, 40, 50 years, but no one ages more than, like, the 6 or 7 that it took for them to make those movies. It's such a weird thing that they did, but I guess they were just like, fuck it.
Who cares?
Right.
That last one is terrible, too.
It was pretty bad. And that's the only one that doesn't have Wolverine in it.
Yeah, I mean, that always hurts.
Because he did Logan already and retired from Wolverine.
Well, it's also the timeline. He can't be in that one because that one takes place in the early 90s. And he doesn't meet them until 99.
Okay, fine, I guess, maybe. But like we said just now, like, who fucking cares about that fucked up continuity that they came up with? Because, like, who knows how any of those fit into the continuity with, like, Wolverine Origins. Like, it doesn't really jive with, like, what they did come up with the new reboot of that series. I don't know. Fuck it. I love seeing Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, though. Like, for me, that's the only reason to watch some of those. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing him as Wolverine again in the new Deadpool. More than anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for. I mean, I'm hoping... I wouldn't mind a Tobey Maguire cameo, which I've heard is possible. That would be cool.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get every single fucking person who's been like a mutant in one of those movies to like be in it.
Yeah, I've heard Taylor Swift is going to be in it.
Right, that's the most recent rumor that I've read.
She's going to play Dazzler,
Right,
which
and
makes sense because
Dazzler
I believe her and Ryan Reynolds are friends.
and Dazzler was in that last X-Men movie too.
She was? Oh
Yeah,
yeah, she is, right
they,
in the club scene.
well, they're like having a bonfire party out in the woods,
Okay.
and she's like singing on a stage. Um, I don't know. Fuck that last one. Like you said, that last one is bad. Like it's really bad. Like they do some weird shit. Like the writer of that, who wrote the other Dark Phoenix movie, he got a second shot at the apple to make the other one and direct it, and he fucked it up worse than I think X-Men Last Stand was.
Yeah, they can't figure out how to do a good Dark Phoenix movie. I think the way you need to do it is honestly like an Infinity War style thing, like Endgame, where it's like the first movie is like, all about something else, and she kind of becomes Dark Phoenix at the end, and it's like a big downer of an ending. And then the second movie is just dealing with her as the Phoenix, because it takes so much legwork to set it up that
Right.
you probably need two movies to build that and tell that story the right way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they didn't really do any legwork. They're just like, well, this is the Dark Phoenix movie with like some weird random alien villains that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, that was weird.
Kind of. So, whatevs with those.
Is that the one where they tease Mr. Sinister at the end?
No, I think they teased Mr. Sinister at the end of the previous one and then never came through.
Yes,
But
that's what happened.
they did kind of do that for Deadpool 2. They and like Mr. Sinister isn't in Deadpool 2, but Essex whatever facility was in Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
So you get it kind of a little bit with that. So, what else? Anything else? Or we're about an
Let's
hour.
see, what else?
I did want to ask you about, but I don't know if we want to get into it because we talked a lot about movies. I didn't think we were going to have a lot to talk about, but we got to it.
Let's do it.
I wanted to ask you about Tell 'em Steve Dave. So I'm a fan of Tell 'em Steve Dave, and I was thinking like, no one I know listens to Tell 'em Steve Dave, and I don't think any of my friends would even bother to listen to it if I recommended it to them. I don't even think they listen to podcasts to begin with. But I'm like a podcast fanatic. But I'm able to listen to podcasts like 8 hours a day at work. But so how did you start listening to Tell 'em Steve Dave?
How did I start listening? So, years ago, Kevin Smith, I was a big Kevin Smith fan, and he had Smodcast.
Right.
And at first I had this attitude where I was like, I'm not going to pay to, I'm not pay, but I'm not going to listen to some fucking asshole talk, whatever, fuck this. And I was big into,
well, hold on a second there. Let me chime in on that. So I'm the same way, right? I listen to Smodcast, but for me it was, I loved the commentaries on like Clerks and Mallrats and Chasing Amy and Dogma. And the podcast, like I didn't know what the fuck is a podcast? That's the big joke, right? With like Smodcast and Tell 'em Steve Dave. So it's like, oh, this is just more of like the same. So I also got started with Smodcast. Go ahead.
So I was listening to the Opie and Anthony radio show a lot, and after a while, I was like, I needed something to listen to as I was like playing a video game or something, and I was like, all right, let me try one of these podcast things. And I listened to the Smodcast. I started from one, and I was like, this is great, and I loved it. And I had been behind, so I caught up on Smodcast, and I was like, well, what am I going to listen to now? And I was like, fuck, what else is there, And I really didn't have an interest in, like, Joe Rogan. Like, I had heard it here and there, but, I really just wanted Kevin Smith shit. So then I was like, oh, there's Tell 'em Steve Dave on his network, whatever, let me just put this on. And I remember I was organizing comics, like I was bagging and boarding comics. And I put on the first one and I was like, whatever, it's something, it's mildly interesting. And then
Now,
like,
hold on a second, though. Okay, so, but you knew who they were from, like, um, uh, Steve Dave and
Smodcast.
Fanboy well, like in Mallrats, right? And Dogma, where they pop into there. You knew who they were before that, or were you just like, oh, this is just another podcast?
No, I knew who they were. I was aware of them, and I had heard them on Smodcast, but I didn't give a shit about them. They were
Okay,
nothing to me. It is
okay.
almost like I come into, especially back then, I would come into things with like an attitude almost. I was like, who the fuck are these guys? Why would
Sounds
anyone
like a
care what they have
typical New
to
York
say?
attitude to me.
Yeah, I was like, why would I care what these fucking guys have to say? So, so little did I know. So I'm just listening to the first. I'm listening to the first one, and I'm like, yeah, this is okay. And then like I'm just begging and boarding comics. The next one comes on, and the next one, and then before you knew it, I'm like in love, and I'm like, this is the fucking best podcast in the world. And like at a certain point, it became my favorite podcast. And like every week, right when the new one would drop, it was at the top of my list,
Right,
and
right.
then like
Eclipsed and passed Smodcast, right?
by far,
That seems
like
to be. I've read on Reddit, like people say that, like they're like, and Smodcast, of course, doesn't even really come on anymore. But like,
yeah, Smodcast is dead.
people like drop Kevin Smith, but they're still like it really is like a cult, the cult of Tell 'em Steve Dave.
It's also like I think that one of the problems with Kevin was like it was him and Mosier. Mosier wanted to go off and do his own thing, but it's like at a certain point it almost felt like they ran out of shit to talk about on Smodcast, and it became like let's listen to a police scanner, and it's like
Oh, the
oh,
RCMP,
like
the RCMP episodes.
yeah, it's like I'll listen, but like that became like a lot. Like if you ever go back and listen, that's a lot of them towards the back end. It seems like they really were just scraping the bottle of shit to talk about,
Sure.
and it's like when you go back to the early ones, they're so fucking good, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I absolutely agree. And so anyway, so you're listening to Tell 'em Steve Dave. You fall
So
in
I'm
love with
listening to Tell
it.
Steve Dave. I fall in love with it. Like when I was making my feature movie, The Uninvited Guest. Um, I remember like there would be like because we did mostly night shoots, so we would kind of try to set things up during the day, and then there'd be a long break. And I remember I would just like take walks to like a local pizzeria by myself, just kind of listen to. I would listen to Tell 'em Steve Dave to kind of decompress on like the stressful like days of filming.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And that was a big thing for me.
I was the same way. 'Cause I moved to Colorado for a year, and like I got divorced with my first wife back then, and like I got T-boned by like a semi truck, and I lost my car, so I got a bike instead, and like I was riding my bike to and from work, and I would listen to like Tell 'em Steve Dave, and it kind of helped with like the bullshit that was going on.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. It's like it's such comfort food. Like I've listened to like up to a certain point probably like 3 times. I
Damn.
haven't done a re-listen in a very long time. Funny enough, I was actually just listening to. I randomly put on episode 100 today
Mm-hmm.
because basically my show we're pretty close to our 100th episode. So I was listening. I was like, what did they even do for 100? So I just went back and I listened to what they did.
I listened to it not too long ago. Isn't it just like a regular talking episode? Like there weren't any games, right?
It's
Wasn't
not.
there
It's
like
not like a big.
there's like a military dude on there, right?
No, it's Windorf. It's Dave Windorf from Monster Magnet.
Yeah, and Get 'em, right?
And Get Him, yeah. And Sunday Jeff and Ming.
And they did the Get 'em 1 through 3.
Yes. I had to pause it, but that's where I left off. And it's great because I honestly don't remember, the answer.
Oh, okay, okay. And now you're friends with Get 'em, right?
Buddies would get him. Yeah, he's been in my house several times. We text all the time. It's nice. There's a group chat with like a bunch of like the younger Tell 'em Steve Dave guys.
So is it surreal now that this podcast that you listen to is now like something that you are as part of the production team, I guess.
The surrealism has gone away. Like I consider Walt a friend.
Sure.
It's not surreal anymore at this point that we're friends. Like me, Walt, and Bry and Chuck, we're actually gonna go see Ace Frehley play about 20 minutes away from us in New Jersey in like April. So it's like it's not surreal anymore at this point, but it's like when I look back, it's always like I can't believe like I'm fucking here,
Right.
like that, like I'm friends with these people. So it's like it's hit me a couple of times where I'm like, this is weird. Like obviously the first time was like I can't believe like I'm working with Tell 'em Steve Dave. This is fucking a dream for me.
So tell me that. How did that happen?
So they were doing a Halloween episode in 2017, and Walt put a thing up on Twitter and was like, can anybody do a green screen, or is anybody familiar with green screens that is around in the area? So I sent an email. I had literally just graduated film school maybe a week or two before then. I sent him this big email. I was like, hey, I have some experience with green screens. These are the things I've done. I've just graduated. All, basically the bullet points about me and everything I've done.
Right.
He sends an email back, would you be interested? How much? I was like, let's come down to the store and talk. I drive down the next day. I went with Anthony and my friend Anthony, and I went with the P-Man, who's been on my show before. And I don't remember if Steve went on the initial trip or not. I don't recall. I don't believe so. But we took measurements of everything to see how big of a green screen we would need. And me and Walt just kind of discussed what his plans were, what his vision was, what the deal was going to be. And, went back. And now it was like, I had done green screen, but now I felt like a lot of pressure. Like I needed this shit to work and look good.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and I bought a whole bunch of supplies and all this stuff. And me and Steve spent like a week or two just testing green screen stuffs. And it's so funny now that like I feel like I'm used to like a green screen. I could do it like that.
Right.
Because I've done it so much. And like I know little tricks now to like get rid of shadows and stuff like that. But back then I was really a novice with it. And we spent like a week or two testing it together, and we got it pretty good. The shoot date came October 20th, 2017, which was the day I turned 30. So it happened on my 30th birthday, and we shot the Halloween special.
Which Halloween special? The Fatherland's Halloween one? Is it the one
Fatherland's,
with the
yeah.
pumpkin head?
Exactly, yep.
Okay.
So that was us. Me, Pat, the P-Man, and Steve went, and we shot that whole special. It was like a career and life highlight at the time. I took a picture with everybody together. I was like, I can't believe I did this. So now the next challenge was, at the time I didn't edit. Steve did all the editing. So we shot it October 20th. Now we need to turn it around by Halloween. So we have 11 days. And, we were pulling clips. We did all this shit to get it together. It was a lot of work, and Steve did all those effects. And I remember there was one day he was like, I need to work. Like, we worked at the same restaurant. I can't stay home to edit. I was like, I'll work for you and give you your money. You edit. So
Right.
I did his shift and just gave him the money.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So he basically got, like a free work day. The project got done. It came out really well. And from there, we established like a working relationship, me and Walt, and And over the years, as we've worked together more, and I've come into the store and hung out, we've gotten closer talking about sports and things like that. But the first moment where I was like, this is fucking surreal and crazy was the first picnic Olympics. Afterwards, we went to Bry's house for like a barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
And we're at Bry's house, and he's cooking burgers and hot dogs, and I'm sitting in Bry's like backyard eating burgers and hot dogs with him. And like I was talking to Tom Milashevsky, and I was like, "This is fucking weird, right? Like this is surreal. Like we were listeners not too long ago, and now we're sitting in Bry's house eating food with him."
Right, right. Now, do you predate Chuck working with them, or who came first?
Chuck predates me by, I'm going to say, like maybe a year and 6 months. Because
Okay.
his first project, that was 2016, he shot Gramercy.
Okay, right,
Then
right.
I came in October 2017. So I think
Okay.
he has me beat by a little bit.
That son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Now, you're also on Comic Book Men. What's the time difference from that, and how did that happen?
So when I was making my movie, we shot it in 2012. I'm a big Tell 'em Steve Dave fan. I had these books that I wanted to sell to try to get some money to put back into
Into the
the show.
movie. Okay,
Into the
okay.
movie, yeah, rather. So I was like, let me just go. And I didn't want to deal with eBay. It's a pain in the ass and shipping. I was like, let me go to the store and just see what I could get. And I just walked in, and producers stopped me outside and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was like, yeah, I was just trying to sell these books. And like, oh shit. And they brought me to a back room and they looked at all the comics. And they're like, okay, he has rare comics. These are good. Let's see if we can get him in for a transaction. And, I signed paperwork. I did all this shit. And I went in. I showed my books. I had my negotiation. You could see it. And then, I got my money and I left.
What episode is that?
Season 2, I think episode 11. It's called Stashsteroids.
Okay. So I wanted to go back and watch that because I remember listening to the Behind the Faint Counter episode, and they mentioned you were on that, and I was like, oh shit.
Yep. Yeah, I was just, a random guy who walked in, and then 5 years later, I'm shooting with them, which is pretty fucking crazy.
And still to this day.
To this day, yeah, I'm still working on stuff with them.
When are we going to get another episode of your show?
Of
The
License to
James-
Pod?
Yeah, yeah.
I hope this year. I would do one monthly if it was up to me. It's one of those things where it's out of my hands, and I have to just hope that the big man wants to do it,
There's not one in the can?
There is not. There is
Wow.
nothing banked for that.
What? Bummer.
Yeah, so the next one we're supposed to do is GoldenEye.
Which is
And
my favorite.
I would love to do GoldenEye, and my plan was to get them to play the game if we do it, but we'll see if it happens.
Now, okay, I'm glad you bring that up. I recently got the N64 add-on on the Switch,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna play some GoldenEye. I can't play it anymore because the controls are so
Updated?
they're so outdated. So like it's like I'm like one of those old people that doesn't know anything about video games, but only because the games I play now, like Fortnite, that like everything has its own situation going on, right? Like to move
Yeah.
and swap guns and everything else like that. I can't play GoldenEye anymore. I was so fucking disappointed because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna kick ass on this now, right? Like I've got like an extra, 15, 20 years, yeah, like 20 plus years of video games under my belt, and I can't play it.
So you can actually go and sorry. You could actually go and customize the settings to how you prefer it. But I have a Switch and I haven't done the N64 add-on. I need to. The thing I have is I've been playing on my Nintendo 64.
Right,
And the
the old
problem
school.
I'm running into is it doesn't look good on my flat screen TV anymore.
Right.
So I'm trying.
The bit rate is all fucked up.
Yes. I'm trying to play Dam, right, the first level. And I beat the game on like the lowest difficulty, and then I beat a couple levels on Secret Agent, but I'm going through and I'm trying to beat it on Double O Agent, and I can't see the villains. Like I have to fuck with the TV more if I'm gonna really take it seriously. But like I'm just getting shot. I'm like, where the fuck is this guy? And by the time I see him, I'm so behind. I'm dead. So
Yeah, like I remember in middle school. I was in middle school when that came out. I had the strategy guide, and me and my buddy were trying to just unlock all like we really wanted paintball mode. That was the big thing, was getting paintball
oh
mode.
yeah,
And we sweated over trying to get all those special the secrets from like the timed, right? You had to beat a level.
yep.
If I remember correctly, it was each level. So it'd be level 1, you had to beat the time on the easiest. The second level would be the medium, secret agent, right? And then the third level would be double O agent, and then it would go back to, so it would go easy, medium, hard, and those were all the timed things to unlock everything. And I was so looking forward to being like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna do this now, right? I'm 38 years old, for Christ's sake. Like, this game is gonna be nothing. And it beat me.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with some stuff. I really want to get the one in the second level. If you can beat the level, I believe it's in 2 minutes and 5 seconds. You get like some pretty cool mode. I can't remember what it is, but I'm trying to do it, and I haven't been able to yet. But it's so hard on my 64.
And that's the facility, right?
Yeah, I've been considering getting a cheap CRTV just for because I love retro gaming and I want to do it more. So I've been thinking about getting a cheap CRTV so I can like play these games and actually
Just
see them again.
play it coax and everything else like that. Are you playing? Did you have to get an adapter to play on your TV?
Yeah, I have the red, white, yellow adapter to HDMI.
It's so fucking ridiculous, right? Like,
Yeah.
the language we're speaking about that is fucking ridiculous. Right, growing up, I used to hook up 2 VCRs so that I can copy tapes that I rented at the fucking video store.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
you know what I mean? Bootlegging, I guess, is what that would be. But like, I had to get a TV from somebody to put in the movie we just made last year, If Tomorrow Never Comes. So you'll see an old school TV and VCR in If Tomorrow Never Comes when I get that thing finished and put out. And for that, what I needed to do was, so like, I filmed something and I wanted it to be on a tape, a VHS, so that I can play it so that my actress could fast forward, rewind, stop, pause, whatever with it. So I had to buy a bunch of equipment so that the VCR could be hooked up to my laptop so that I could play the video on my laptop and record it onto a tape, so then she could put the tape into the VCR and do everything else like that. Like, it was insane.
Yeah, like dealing with the old technology and like moving stuff, it gets really like challenging sometimes. So unfortunately, I have to go. My wife texted me and said that my daughter is in so I'm in my office. My daughter is in the room next to me, my baby daughter, and baby, she's trying to sleep, and apparently my wife can hear my voice through the monitor, and it's making my daughter toss and turn. So
no, that's fine. No, absolutely, we got a good time going. But it was great talking to you, and we'll do this again. I'll find that magazine, and thank you very much. I had a great time.
No problem. Thank you.
I'm Matt Bonta.
I'm Brian Ruppert. Catch me on Reviewing History. That's my podcast. We do comedy, history, movies. It's a good time. Give it a listen. Tell them Steve Dave I do video work on their Patreon. Check that out, patreon.com/TSD. Follow me personally on all social media at Brian Ruppert. That's with 2 P's. Follow me on Letterboxd. If you're here, you probably like movies. I rank and review every single movie I watch, and you'll see what I'm watching. You'll see what I'm up to. So, thank you for having me, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely, and I recommend all those as well. And thank you, Brian. And That's Sequel Podcast for this week. Thank you very much. See you later.
Bye.